The Denver Broncos shake off a little bit of a rough start in the first half to come away 2-0 to start the NFL season with a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sayre, myself, we recap the game, we go over, we give out our game balls, plus we talk about some concerns that the Broncos still have heading into Week 3 against the New York Jets this upcoming Sunday in the Broncos home opener. We break all that action down here on today's brand new episode, Locked On Broncos.
You are Locked On Broncos, your daily Denver Broncos podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Victory Monday once again. What's up, Broncos country? Welcome back into a brand new episode, Locked On Broncos, your daily Denver Broncos podcast here on the Locked On NFL Network, your team every day from the South Stands to the end zone. I'm your host, as always, Cody Roark, joined alongside by co-host Sayre Bedinger. Both of us, we covered the Denver Broncos for the Locked On NFL Network and 9 News. Make sure you follow, subscribe, Locked On Broncos, free and available everywhere you get your podcast. Not to mention, you can watch us on your TV, you can watch us on your phone, your tablet, on the YouTube channel, Locked On Broncos. Make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss a day's worth of coverage of all things Denver Broncos related. Sayre, my man, another Victory Monday. Covering the Denver Broncos, we haven't had this 2 times in a row, to open up a season in quite some time. Obviously, some things that the Broncos need to concern, but more importantly, coming away with a victory on the road, that's a good sign.
It's a great sign, Cody, and I'll tell you what else is a great sign. Since you invited me to be the co-host of this show, I'm going to continue to point this out. 5-0 for the Denver Broncos, including preseason games. So we have yet to lose a game since that's my favorite stat from this game, personally, Cody. I mean, all jokes aside, we're winning games. I feel like Broncos country, whatever you want to shower Cody and I with, whatever gifts, we will receive with gratitude. And no, it's great though, man.
Nah, just send me coffee, people. I love coffee. But, more importantly, it was really fun. I was interacting with Broncos fans at halftime during a Twitter Spaces. I'm going to be doing that from now on. So Broncos country, if you're listening to this during halftime, Twitter Spaces, jump on with me and share your thoughts at halftime as to that. But look, Sarah, the Broncos coming away with another road victory, 23-13 over the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had the Broncos, to come out in this game, had them on their heels a little bit. The defense, and they struggled in that first half, kind of first series there before kind of getting things going within like the final 3 minutes of the second quarter. But that first drive by Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville Jaguars, they carved up the Broncos. A lot of man coverage there. Kyle Fuller obviously getting beat by Marvin Jones for a touchdown. And at that point, I thought to myself, oh, man, this was the trap game. They came up early. They're getting smacked early on. How do they respond? But like always, Teddy Bridgewater, steady and reliable, calmed the nerves down and led the Broncos downfield here. But it did come at a price, too. And obviously, we're going to recap the entire game here. But it did come at a price as the Broncos do lose 2 key players to injury. Bradley Chubb, same ankle he was dealing with, started this game, suffered the injury on a pressure, and Trevor Lawrence in that second quarter did not return. Josey Jewell with a thunderous hit on special teams, hurt his shoulder, did not return as well. So obviously some concern there. So Sayre, really kind of that first half opening up. I mean, how are you feeling about the Broncos? Because defensively, they came out flat.
Definitely. I mean, after that first drive for the Jaguars, I was kind of thinking to myself, man, this is exactly what we talked about as almost like the worst case scenario, right? Like Trevor Lawrence is not likely to throw 3 interceptions this week, but I didn't think, oh man, he's just going to come out guns blazing and touchdown on the first drive. I mean, that was tough to see, and especially against Kyle Fuller, one of my guys. That was my guy, man, and picked him for the bounce back game this week. So of course, again, after that, the defense was able to bounce back. But I mean, as of the first half, it really felt, didn't it to you? I mean, really, really similar to week 1 against the New York Giants. It felt very, very close to that. The Broncos carried some momentum into the locker room at halftime with a 10-7 lead, almost identical to last week, and getting the ball coming out, and you felt just like a confidence with that, I suppose. So yeah, that was kind of how I felt as of the end of the first half. I mean, in the first drive for the Jaguars, kind of thinking to myself, well, I mean, here we go. I guess, there's no resting on that victory from week 1. So definitely a little concerned early, but towards halftime kind of feeling oddly confident with just a 3-point lead.
Well, and I think for the Broncos too, this was a positive because last year, you know how many times they'd get the ball before half and not come away with points. Teddy leads a drive, finds Tim Patrick. You love that. He did a Jerry Jeudy touchdown celebration, and then you get the ball to open up in the second half. And obviously, Courtland Sutton with a big 55-yard catch downfield in that third quarter, and then you find Noah Fant for a touchdown. Just the overall efficiency by the Broncos offense, considering really the score. The score looks closer than it really was, 23-13, and obviously we could talk about how that 13th point got put up on the board there for the Jaguars. But the thing that stood out to me the most there, the Broncos once again controlled the time of possession. That Jaguars defense was gassed. 38 minutes and 52 seconds of possession here by the Broncos, which is odd when you factor in the Broncos struggles to run the football. And I know that's going to be a subject of discussion that we do have here, but Sayre, for the Broncos, it is nice to start off 2-0. I know Broncos country is fired up because guess what? The home opener is this week in Power Field at Mile High. Vic Fangio said in his press conference that he's got to calm himself down a little bit because he knows that for the first time when you have 76,000 roaring fans at Empower Field at Mile High, it's going to be a special moment for Denver sports fans. And obviously, I can't wait to bring that up and cover that this week with you here. Once again, Lockdown Broncos. But Broncos country coming up here in just a moment. Sayre and I, we're going to hand out our game balls, and we're also going to talk about some of the key performances that stood out for the Broncos in their 23-13 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road to start off 2-0. But before we do that, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's postgame report. That's our good friends over there at Get Upside. And hey, Broncos fans, this is Cody Roark of Lockdown Broncos alongside Sayre Bedinger, and we have an incredible app for everyone who buys gas, and this is something that you need to know about. Get Upside. Now, listeners of Lockdown Broncos, they are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time that they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store on your Google Play right now and use promo code TOUCHDOWN, and you can get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Like, once again, just download the app and use promo code TOUCHDOWN. It's a free app, but you can also get up to 50 cents gallon cash back on your first tank. Some people who drive a lot are making as much as to $200 to $300 a month in just cash back, and there is no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account, and you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or even an e-gift card for Amazon or other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code TOUCHDOWN and get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank today. Once again, that's promo code TOUCHDOWN. All right, Sayre, let's get into our game balls here for the Denver Broncos. Really just kind of a portion of this segment to focus on the good performances. Now, I think we always open up, we want to recap the game here. Before we hand out game balls, I just want to say Teddy Bridgewater, I feel like, is doing a really good job of kind of disproving some of these narratives that we are seeing. Now, a lot of people said Teddy doesn't test the ball downfield often. We saw him test the ball downfield several times. And look, I think that there was that one missed play to KJ Hamler that KJ ran the wrong route. It seems like he broke in rather than staying vertical. And obviously he and Teddy, those guys are going to work that out in the film room, and they're going to get on the same page. You have a deep pass to Tim Patrick that you miss. You have a deep pass to Courtland Sutton that should have been pass interference by Shaquille Griffin. They didn't call it, and he still came away 75% completion percentage, going 26 of 34 for 328 and 2 tutties. Sayre, I've been blown away by Teddy Bridgewater and just really how calm he is when chaos is all around him. He delivers.
He does, and I don't know if you can give game balls away to the same guy 2 weeks in a row, but man, Teddy, he was awesome in this game again. And you're right. I mean, the narrative on Teddy Bridgewater going into this season really was, well, we know exactly what he is. I'm going to continue to bring that back up because even though, there were a lot of Drew Lock supporters in Broncos country, myself included, I don't think I ever was like, man, we know what Teddy brings to the table all the time. There's no upside there. I think that there's definitely some upside, and I've been proven wrong about that. I think that there's definitely some serious upside with Teddy Bridgewater, and he is attacking the ball. He did in this game. He attacked the ball downfield quite a bit, which was awesome to see. Not only to me does that indicate that Teddy is a bit more aggressive than he was given credit for by me and others, but what it indicates to me is that he and his receivers have a lot of trust for each other. They're really building that chemistry, and so I think as the season goes along, Cody, we're going to see that start to click a lot more. The play, you mentioned a few plays. I'm thinking also of a play where Tyson Campbell shoved Courtland Sutton out of bounds and then kind of armbar grabbed his arm too. So there was a multitude of pass plays in this game that could have gone for, and a pass interference that was called on Tim Patrick down the middle of the field as well. So there was definitely a lot of more opportunity for Teddy to, I mean, he could have gone easily for 400 yards in this game, the way he was throwing the ball. And I mean, it's not that the Broncos receivers did a bad job or something like that. It just didn't work out. It's the flow of the game, penalties on the defense, the penalty on Courtland Sutton or I guess it didn't ultimately get called, right? He stepped out of bounds and then the defensive back touched the ball first, but an awesome performance from Teddy Bridgewater all around.
Well, this is a guy that you gave a game ball to here, Courtland Sutton. Can we talk about a welcome back moment for obviously number 14? George Stoy had pointed out that in the game against Jacksonville, it's at 364 days exactly. He's 1 day away from it being the 1 year that he tore his ACL. And guess what he did? He went crazy. 12 targets, 9 catches, 159 yards, and a 55-yard reception through the air, obviously to open up the second half. It was so nice to see Courtland back, and he took a little bit of a nut shot earlier. He came up hobbling. I didn't, you couldn't tell right away, but luckily the replay kind of showed it. So he came up hobbling. I think everybody was like, oh no. But obviously, what a return for Courtland. Obviously, he gets your game ball. And mine too. I give him one.
Definitely. Man, that's funny. So you got Courtland kind of sending Broncos country into a frenzy with his little toe tap drill that he was doing that made it look like he was limping on one of his legs. And then you get a ball tap that gets him, to the sideline. So a tough week for Sutton for the overreaction, from the fan base. But man, I was just drinking that in as you were saying those statistics. Like that was just like, oh, that was smooth as butter. And it was good to see, man. It's so good to see from Courtland Sutton, right? I mean, the ACL injury, kind of saw him limited last week. It seemed like the Broncos were kind of trying to maybe forcibly get him involved after it was, just one pass after another to either Jerry Jeudy, a tight end, somebody else. So they were kind of trying to forcibly get Sutton involved. This week, he was the focus of the offensive game plan, which is exactly what you and I wanted. And we talked about that on the show throughout the week. Courtland Sutton, what did Vic Fangio say after the game? He's back. He's back. He doubled down. He said it twice. And definitely Courtland Sutton made no bones about it. He is back after this game. He showed us every single thing that we've come to love from him, whether it was making plays deep down the field, whether it was getting yards after the catch on slant routes, whatever it was, converting third down. I mean, whatever it was, Courtland Sutton has been doing it. And it was awesome to see in this game against a pretty talented Jaguar secondary at that.
Yeah, well, and obviously C.J. Henderson obviously missed that second half. You have to wonder what the impact would have been like. He did a really good job. It was just a physical matchup, and Vic had even mentioned that in the postgame that he felt like in the first half that they were just out physical and that they didn't respond, but in the second half they made those adjustments. But let's talk about those adjustments there, because another guy who gets a game ball, Kareem Jackson, Patrick Surtain, obviously making his rookie PS2. Both those guys coming away with an interception, but it's impressive furthermore for the Broncos defense, who on that first drive, Trevor Lawrence, I believe, went 5 of 7, 75 yards and a touchdown and was carving up the Broncos. His stat line, how he finished here, looking at it, 14 of 33, only 118 yards, Sayre, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. So after 75 yards on that first drive, he finishes with 118. But man, Denver did a really good job too, because pressure by Von Miller started to get there. But I'm just telling you, that play by Kareem Jackson, that interception, I tweeted it out. Kareem Jackson, he gets to eat free for life wherever he wants, man. Pay that. Do you think that the Broncos at this point, and I get that he's a veteran guy, he doesn't play, though, like his age. I feel like the Broncos at some point, they could look at an extension for him.
I think you're right, Cody, and I have to fall on this sword here, because I was kind of one of the ones that was like, well, Kareem Jackson is getting up there in age. This is during the offseason, by the way. Kareem Jackson's getting up there in age. Maybe you go after a younger safety in free agency, like John Johnson was available, a couple of other guys that were intriguing. Maybe you let Kareem Jackson go. You get a younger guy in there. But then, man, seeing him play this weekend, I got to eat my words. I got to eat this plate of ice cold crow right here. Kareem Jackson was awesome. And the interception was fantastic, and it's going to look even better on the All-22 film. But my favorite play from Kareem Jackson in this game was a run play that he destroyed by himself. It looked like the Jacksonville Jaguars were like the flying V from the Mighty Ducks on a run play going to the left, and James Robinson had a clear path to, 40, 50 yards.
Yep.
And Kareem Jackson juked out the left tackle for the Jaguars and came in and just totally knocked James Robinson off his feet. I mean, it was an unbelievable play. Everyone that's listening right now and everyone that's watching right now, I know you guys saw it live, but man, when you watch that play back, that play is one of the plays that to me defines this entire game for the Denver Broncos, because if Kareem Jackson doesn't make that hit, it goes from being a routine, 5 or 6 yard run to being a huge play and potentially even a touch. I mean, I'm not trying to overreact. It could have been a touchdown run. There were that many blockers out in front, and Kareem Jackson by himself destroyed the play. So big time game ball for number 22. The interception was beautiful. It was a great game for him.
Yeah, and I just want to go back to another point there with Kareem. I mean, you're absolutely right, and that's one play we'll bring back on the All-22. And we said it last year, Sayre. Kareem has these moments in games that sort of set the tempo, that define the rest of the way for the Broncos. He's a tone setter, and he looked absolutely fantastic in Sunday's 23-13 victory over the Jaguars. And then let's talk about the rookie here, Patrick Surtain II, getting his first career start, coming away with an interception, which I can't wait to break down on the All-22 as well. Doing a great job squeezing DJ Chark to the sideline, and even Chark's pushing him in the back. Could have been offensive PI. He gets his hands on the ball. He gets both feet in before the butt cheeks touch the sideline. Interception, first time for the rookie in his first career start. And Jacksonville went after him a couple times. They're tested him, and he's going to be tested, I think, through the next 5 to 6 weeks. But he has to keep making these plays that he made, obviously, in Sunday's victory.
Absolutely, he does, and huge shout out to him. I saw on the CBS broadcast as well, his dad, Patrick Surtain Sr., I suppose, picked off his first NFL pass in his second career game. So kind of crazy how the NFL is just poetic like that, isn't it, Cody? But it was awesome to see him bounce back after last week, right? I mean, definitely the missed tackle on Sterling Shepard, only playing 16 defensive snaps. Something was just a little fishy with all that. So getting to see him out there playing a full-time role, I think we know obviously now why the Denver Broncos valued him so highly. I mean, he's a tremendous, tremendous player. He plays like a veteran. And I think you're right. I think the Jaguars were really trying to, I can't say expose, but I mean, you want to try to go after the rookie, right? I mean, he's the only guy out there for the Denver Broncos defense who really lacks experience. So you want to go after that guy. And Trevor Lawrence was looking, I tweeted this out during the game, I've never seen Trevor Lawrence throw so many YOLO balls in my life. I mean, that guy's going to be a great NFL player, but man, he was yucking the ball downfield with almost no regard. It was like, who's he throwing to on this play? Who's he throwing to on that play? Why is he throwing it here? Why is he throwing? And of course, as a defensive back, you never know what's going to happen on those plays. The Jaguars do have players that can make plays on those type of balls. So kudos to Surtain and the rest of the secondary for doing a good job in this game. And game ball for him, and that interception, that's going to be on the highlight reel for all. I mean, that'll be one of the best plays I think we see from the Broncos all year long.
I love it too. And obviously Vic Fangio said that Courtland Sutton, Kareem Jackson, Patrick Surtain II each got a game ball. I think that Teddy and Courtland could share it. I think Kareem and PS2 could share it, obviously, if you want to do that. But just, once again, Broncos Road Warriors to open up the season, 2-0 start. And now we got to get into the conversation coming up here in just a moment about things that concerned us so far through 2 weeks of action for the Broncos, specifically in this Jaguars game that you can't make against the New York Jets and some of the other teams that the Broncos will face down the stretch. But before we do that, let me tell you about the two other sponsors. Today's episode, Lockdown Broncos post-game report. That's our good friends over there, DirecTV Stream, and our good friends over there at Built Bar. Now, with DirecTV Stream, does this sound familiar to you? You have one device that lets you catch the game live and another one that lets you stream your favorite shows, and not to mention you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbors log in for all the good stuff. Well, let me tell you about DirecTV Stream here today. It brings you your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before in one place, so you can catch all the action, watch your favorite sports, movies, and TV shows all in one place. And that means no more juggling remotes, no more need to buy another device ever again. And the best part of it all, there is no annual contract. You can cut the cord today. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. And you can learn more at directtv.com. Once again, directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. And our good friends over there at Built Bar and Sayre, over the weekend, I received in the mail, and you should be receiving one here soon, I received a cookie dough chunk Built Bar box in the mail. And you know I love peanut butter brownie, but I tell you what, this might be my new favorite, and I hope they make it a stable part over there at built.com. built.com. Built Bar has 9 amazing, delicious flavors, including the occasional limited time flavor like cookie dough chunk. And you can check out all the flavors at built.com. Get yourself a mixed box, or if you like one flavor, get yourself a box of 18 of that flavor that you love the most. I love Built Bar because it tastes like a candy bar. The bars are covered in 100% chocolate. They're soft and easy to chew, and they're the healthiest protein bar on the market. 17 grams of protein, only 130 calories, and only 4 grams of sugar. And I want you to get your hands on a box of Built Bar today by going to built.com. Use promo code LOCK15. That's going to get you 15% off your next order at built.com. Once again, promo code LOCK15 gets you 15% off your next order at built.com. All right, Sayre, jumping into the fourth quarter action. Today's episode, Lockdown Broncos post-game report. Just a reminder, Broncos country, it would mean the absolute world to both Sayre and myself if you hit the subscribe button or follow button on your favorite audio podcasting platforms to Lockdown Broncos, not to mention here on YouTube, so you never miss out on a day's worth of coverage of all things orange and blue. Sayre and I, we like to look at everything from a multitude of ways, and we appreciate your feedback and your interaction in the comment section down below and also on social media. But Sayre, concerns for the Denver Broncos. There's definitely a few that stand out to me that watching the game, I thought to myself, they can't do this against a team like Kansas City, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Las Vegas Raiders, or in a couple weeks against a team like the Baltimore Ravens or even the Pittsburgh Steelers in about 3 weeks. Denver's schedule is going to get tougher. The quality of the opponents that they're going to play are going to be much more difficult, and there's some things they absolutely cannot do. One of them I'm going to talk about here, penalties. We have seen just a brutal amount of penalties by the Broncos, and they're up all across the NFL. But 10 penalties for over 101 yards against the Jaguars. Some of them we know to be ticky-tack, but for the most part, several of them coming on special teams where it's after the play. As Vic Fangio said, some of the post-whistle stuff that has happened, it's BS and they need to fix it. I'm concerned about that. You can't do that. Giving up that much yardage to a team like the Jaguars, is one thing. Giving up that type of yardage to a team like Kansas City, I think would be death by inches, so to speak.
It would be, Cody. It would be. And it's not surprising that here we are talking about penalties and special teams in conjunction with each other. Unfortunately, false start on Baron Browning on the punt team, a false start on another player, Nate Hairston on the punt team, unsportsmanlike conduct on Mike Ford on the punt team.
I will say that was kind of a soft call.
It was.
It's that new taunting rule. I didn't see anything. Yeah. He was jawing. Like, come on, it's a physical game. I don't like that call, though.
I don't like it either, Cody. I don't either. But again, it's not a notch on Tom McMahon's belt. I'll tell you that much. No. Which is one of my primary concerns for this, not only this game, but the rest of the season. As you said, when you're playing against these other big name teams, you can't afford stupid little mistakes, especially when it comes to special teams. So pinning a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes inside the 10-yard line, awesome. 15-yard penalty to put him at the 27, 28-yard line. Can't do that kind of stuff. No. You're exactly right. And so those are the things that are the difference between potentially, letting your defense make a game-altering play and then just special teams completely blowing it, completely ruining it. So I don't know, man. The special teams in this game, although I will say, in the last 3 seasons it's been, since 2019, the Denver Broncos are guaranteed, Cody, to win by 10 points when Jamal Agnew has a return touchdown against them. So that happened against the Detroit Lions at the end of the 2019 season when the Broncos won 27-17. It happened in this game as well. So, but all kidding aside, my goodness, a kickoff return touchdown. In today's NFL where kickoffs are barely returned ever. I don't know what else to make of this. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's appalling. It's crazy. You can't even help but just laugh. Thank goodness it happened in a victory.
Yeah. Oh, man. But just imagine. I go back to last year against Kansas City. They give one up 108 yards to Byron Pringle. On that one, too, the kick. And I get where Tom McMahon's coming from, but the reality is if you can just boot it out of the back of the end zone, take that. So, but they want to test. They want to allow these young guys on kickoff to go down and make a play, which, look, I think Justin Sternad on the first opening kickoff did a phenomenal job. Don't get me wrong there. But this was one of those plays you need to just boot it out of the end zone. The coverage unit, they just whiff on the guy. He cuts back inside. He's gone for a touchdown. And so what should have been a 23-7 victory for the Denver Broncos ends up looking 10 points closer just because it's 23-13. You give up that big play. Now, I will say the Jaguars, after they had that touchdown, they go for the 2-point conversion. Broncos defense does a really good job stopping it. Then they get a delay of game on an onside kick. Like, they just wait. That is the most Urban Meyer thing that I have ever seen, but that was very defining, I think, for this game here. But I think that the pressure is upping a little bit on Tom McMahon, Sayre, and I don't know what the Broncos are going to do, but they could fire him this week. And I think that when you see these continuous issues, the same issue coming back on that specific unit and biting you in the tail, it becomes a trend. It becomes a problem that has not yet been addressed in the last 2.5 to 3 seasons in Denver. If they do make a move, I imagine Chris Gould, the Broncos special teams assistant, will probably be promoted in the interim. But you still have to do it. Even if you get rid of Tom McMahon, you still have to address the issue. So I don't know what Denver's going to do here, but that was obviously a concern for me. One of the bigger concerns I'd say that we probably should have here down the stretch here for the Broncos is their efficiency on third down. I believe that they went 2 for 11 against the Jaguars, and some of those third down situations, they were backed up a little bit more this week, but they also had several third and shorts that they could not convert. To me, that is becoming a little bit of a dangerous trend because they struggled against the New York Giants in that field last week. Where are your concerns here with not only just the third down, but also the Broncos run game kind of stalling up a little bit, 96 total yards on the day?
Yeah. I think those two really go hand in hand a lot of times, don't they? I mean, if you're too far behind the line to gain, that's a reflection on your running game a lot of times. And I know we talked it with Tim Jenkins last week after the Giants game about how he's like, I'm not opposed to the Broncos becoming a pass on first down type of team. And frankly, I'm not either after watching the first 2 games of the running game try to work. I mean, there's only so many times that the announcer can be like, man, isn't this Javonte Williams guy impressive? He just turned a 0-yard play into a 3-yard gain. It's like, as much as I love that, I love it as much as the next guy. Don't get me wrong. But I would much rather see Javonte Williams have some clearer lanes. I don't need to have it clear every single time, but clearer than they have been, and get him some actual running lanes to go through. Because, man, if he's this impressive just gaining yards after contact at the line of scrimmage, maybe give the guy some room to work with. And I know that it's easier said than done. I'm just a guy sitting here wearing a hat and talking about the game. I don't have to go out there and block people. I don't have to go out there and do that. But, man, does it get any easier this week when you're going up against Quinnen Williams and the big boys with the New York Jets? I mean, you got to figure out a way to get that going. And I think they go hand in hand. The concern that you brought up on third downs, converting third downs and running the ball well, those two things have to be kind of, is it symbiotic? Is that the word, Cody? I mean, I haven't been in school for like 10 years here. So, but that's kind of what I'm thinking after this game.
Yeah, well, and also, too, the splits between Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams in terms of carries, it was the same. Both guys had 13 carries. Javonte had 64 yards. Melvin had 31. And, like I said, I feel like they'll get there, right? But it was evident, in my opinion, and not many people may notice this, but the Broncos struggled a little bit without Graham Glasgow there. And nothing against Netani Muti, but he allowed a sack to Adam Gotsis, who really has been not a very good defender for the Jaguars. So I'd say the concern there, Teddy Bridgewater sacked 3 times. One of those was obviously in a goal line situation. It looked like boot action there by the Broncos, so Garrett Bowles down blocked. I'm not quite sure. We'll have Tim Jenkins look at it when we talk to him on Tuesday. But, obviously 3 sacks there. You don't want that to happen. Gotsis just shot inside of Netani Muti on the interior shoulder and was in Teddy Bridgewater's face. Not much he could have done there. So between that, it's so crazy to think that the Broncos went 2 for 11 on third down. They struggled running the ball consistent enough the way that they did, but they still controlled the time of possession, 38 minutes to 21 to Jacksonville. I don't get it, Sayre. It doesn't add up. When you look at the box score, you look at the stat sheet, none of that makes sense when you look at it. But you know what? The Broncos, they come out 2-0 to start the season. Obviously, a great start for them in a long season that is to come, and hopefully they can get some guys back from injuries. Obviously, we don't know the status of Josey Jewell just yet, but hopefully he can be back against the New York Jets and the Broncos home opener next Sunday in Power Field at Mile High. Just a reminder, all week long, Sayre Bedinger, myself, we have you covered with all the latest around Broncos country, what's going on with the team, and you get that here every single day on the Lockdown Broncos podcast, your favorite audio podcasting platforms, not to mention on YouTube. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on a day's worth of Denver Broncos news, content, and coverage. We'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode, Lockdown Broncos.